Holy man, look at the size of that thing. Alright troops, in this episode of Speed Painting, we're going to be painting up Nelly the Elephant here in 3 hours. Let's see how we do. So, a couple of weeks ago I went to my first Lord of the Rings tournament in what must be about 15 years. The tournament was called Sunshine on Lothlorien. Very clever, I know. I decided to take my Lothlorien army, not to fit the theme of the tournament name, but because it's the only army I've actually had any practice with in recent years. Anyway, I managed to win 2 games out of 3 with full points, somehow, which was a big surprise considering I've not played a proper tournament in many years. And to treat myself, I decided to buy a Mumak. I do want to apologise for the lighting in this video. It's not as good as it usually is, because somebody decided to eat my cable. Oh, Bucky, please tell me you haven't. I left my cage door open. No, don't eat my electric snakes. For fuck's sake, that's my good... Do you know how much that cost? Huh? Turn you into a fucking scarf, mate. Oh. Right guys, sitting in the living room because it's cosy. I'm going to build a Mumak. Hopefully get it done an hour. We shall see. Let's go. Got all these bits. You see? So nothing spectacular is going on here. All I'm doing is building up the Mumak. It was actually a bit more complicated than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be really simple, but it ended up taking longer than I thought, but that could just be because I am a complete idiot. I was trying to stick to under an hour, so although if I was doing this properly, I would probably clean up the mould lines with a knife, and I would use green stuff to fill in all the gaps, but as I'm trying to stick to that 1 hour time limit, I didn't bother this time. I really hope that once this is painted up, you won't be able to see the imperfections as well. I should have probably taken a bit more care when I was building it. Nelly's head ended up falling off a few times. I wasn't using enough glue because I was just rushing it, and I'm not used to such a big kit. I should have probably used some green stuff at this point to secure the joins a bit better. Got your pal, mate. Fight. Holy shit! Bucky! Alright guys, so we're at 40 minutes and that's the build done. I think I'll let the clock run in a bit longer. So I've got all the bits because I want to base coat them differently. So I'm going to do everything in the bone so I can do contrast paints exactly like my previous Harad army. For the Oliphant, there is bits of the Howada on it that I'm going to have to do bone. So what I think I'll do is I'll spray paint the Howada bits. Actually. For the Oliphant, however, there is bits that need to be bone for the contrast, but then I'm going to speed things up and I'm going to use the Mechanicus Grey on the bay, on the actual model, because you can use that as the base tone and just wash it and then highlight it. That should hopefully speed things up, but the issue is, how do I cover up the bits that I'm going to spray? And I've got this Panzer Putty. I used this for my World War II German Panzers, funnily enough. However, today it's going to be Oliphant Putty. What you do is you take it and you cover up the area that you're going to cover up, and then that should hopefully mean I can spray both bits the different colours. So all I did was grab my Wraithbone spray, head out to the garden and give Nelly a good old covering. So I sprayed all the bits that were getting used for the Howada, plus the bits on Nelly that connect to it. I didn't bother spraying the areas that were going to get a coating of Mechanicus Standard Grey, as I didn't want to waste this very expensive spray. I also gave the Haradrim Warriors a covering of Wraithbone. Apart from the Commander, I don't think I'll paint these up in this episode. I've got absolutely hundreds of Haradrim. If you want to see how I paint my Haradrim army, there is a video on my channel. I will warn you though, it is my second video, so it is complete crap. So if you want a laugh, go have a watch of that. Oh, I dropped the fucking thing, man. Oh. Why am I so clumsy? Oh, I'm sorry, mate. Look at your poor wee tusks. You're getting battered about by me and Bucky today. So now all I'm doing is taking the Panzer Putty and covering over all the areas that I've sprayed in bone. I've never used this stuff on such a big model before, and I really hate the oily feeling you get on your fingers when you use it, but I think this is the simplest way to get 2 separate base coats done. It doesn't matter if I don't cover every single bit of the Howada. If I do get some Mechanicus standard grey on the Howada, it's not the end of the world. I do have a Wraithbone paint pot where I can just use a brush to touch it up at the end. This stuff can be really tough and sticky, especially when you've used it a few times and it gets a lot of spray paint in it, so try to be a bit more careful than I was when I was using it. Oh! Oh, shit! Oh, sorry, Nelly. Oh, I hurt your ear. Oh, you've been battered about this episode. Animal cruelty. I swear no animals have been hurt in the filming of this video. Oh, you'll be coming for me in my sleep, won't you, for some revenge? I do apologise, Nelly. Don't hurt me. So all I did was apply a Mechanicus standard grey base coat to the whole miniature, and now it's time for the best and most satisfying part of this whole process, peeling the Oliphant Putty off. I apologise for not getting this in shot that well. I've not filmed such a big miniature before, so lessons learned. If any of the Oliphant Putty sticks to the miniature and you can't peel it off, you can just get a big ball of the stuff that you already have and use its sticky surface to peel it off. So, the base, people are going to really be angry about this, I think, and I'm a bit angry at myself, but I want my elephant to be different to everyone else's, and I've tried looking online for a replica base of this size and it seems to be a one-off. So what I'm going to do, so I don't lose all this lovely detail, is I'm going to take a print of it, and that means I can use the dead bodies on terrain and stuff, or objective markers, but then once that's done I am going to cover over them. Yes, and I'm going to make them little hills. Don't hate me, but I can't even say if anyone knows where to get an elephant base. I did try asking around online, but nobody seems to know where you can get elephant bases. One guy even suggested using a jigsaw to cut my own. How the fuck do you use a jigsaw to cut a base? What a fucking stupid suggestion that was. Waste of time. Anyway, let's get cracking, shall we? Right guys, got this big ass box of plaster here from when I used to make terrain. So I'm going to try create a mould for this using an old shortbread tin. Okay, so I'm just going to put a bunch of this plaster into here.
An elephant never forgets.
What was that? That was weird. Did you hear that? Anyway, moving on. So all I was doing here was mixing up some plaster in an old takeaway container. I went for about a 2-to-1 ratio with the water to plaster. I should definitely put some Vaseline on top of the base here to make it easier to remove from the mould later on. Once the plaster was mixed, I poured it all over the mould. As you can see, I should have probably used a bit more water as it is quite lumpy and I had to break this down by poking it with an old toothbrush.
2 hours later.
Oh, right. Here we go, guys. Would you look at that? Unfortunately, this turned out to be a complete disaster. Plaster is not the best material, it is far too brittle, the thing just fell apart. The detail imprinted into the plaster does look really cool, but I just don't think there's any way I could feasibly use this. So I decided to just crack on with this Mumak, and what I'll do is I'll buy a second Mumak in the future and just use its base, and I'll get some silicone I think to do the mould. So the first thing I tried was to take my hacksaw and try and cut off all the dead bodies from the base. However, as I was counting this part into the build time, it was taking far too long and I'm very lazy and it was doing my hand in. So instead I decided to get some DAS air drying clay and just cover all the dead bodies up like they were little mounds. I left 1 or 2 of the little weapons showing, but the majority of the dead horses and stuff I covered up. Personally, because I'm a big weirdo, I don't like having dead bodies on my bases because it makes that model stuck in a single battle with a single enemy. You know, why would there be dead Rohan guys on an Oliphant base if I was fighting, say, High Elves? Just one of these little things that annoy me for some reason. Right, that's everything done. All base coated, 55 minutes. Big old Nelly.
Never forgets.
You hear that? Big Nelly's done. Got the bone all there. I'm going to have to touch that up, but I'm going to do the skin first, so if I do any dry brushing over the bone, I'll just use Wraith bone to cover it up. That's done black. I'm going to do that Rhinox hide over the top of that. And once Nelly's done, I'm going to glue this on and then paint it like that. So, let's get started, shall we? So now all we're doing is giving Nelly's skin a big old coat of Null Oil. It doesn't matter if we're too messy with this, we can always go over again with the Wraithbone later. I've got the biggest brush I can fit into the pot just so that I can get this done as fast as I can. While I was waiting for the Null Oil to dry on Nelly's skin, I decided to give the base a quick covering of Rhinox hide. I then decided it would be a good idea to pin Nelly to the base so it stopped falling over. I just placed the base upside down on top of Nelly and drilled through into her feet before sticking some brass rod in and gluing it down. As the skin was now dry, I could get on with the dry brushing. I wanted to do this as fast as possible, so I got the biggest brush I could find. I then dry brushed the whole of Nelly with Administratum Grey. Then, to bring out the highlights even more, I mixed a little bit of white into the Administratum Grey on my kitchen roll and gave her a little extra dry brush, just on the most pronounced areas of her skin and face. Right guys, that took 10 minutes to get the dry brushing done. I think it's actually starting to take shape a bit. Pretty happy with that. Right, I know this is going to sound a bit strange, but I think I'm going to do the base now, just so I can get a feel for them. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the horns and the toes.
Never forgets.
What the fuck was that? Was that you, Bucky?
No, what are you on about?
Did you hear that? I'm going mad. What I'll do now is I'm going to do the horns and the toes and shit, just to kind of finish off Nelly, and then once that's done, we'll move on to the Howada. So I just give the tusks and the toes a base coat of Wraithbone. What I should have done was sprayed these before I done the Mechanicus Standard Grey and blocked them out with the Panzer Putty, but I forgot. So we're going to have to do it the old fashioned way with a paintbrush. While this dried, I gave the rim of the base a quick coating of Moonfang Brown. All the wood on the Howada gets a coating of snakebite leather. Be careful when doing this, because it is a bit of a pain in the ass to fix contrast paint mistakes, and we really don't have that much time. Then all the ropes, leather and any kind of fabric gets a coating of wildwood. So we're almost at an hour and 40 minutes, and I've got the elephant done. So all I need to do is the Howada now. I'm going to try and make it as consistent as I can with my Harad army, so I did use contrast paints. So I think I'll paint the Howada separately and then stick it on after. I've also got the base to do. I'll just do some Geek Game Mix and Tough. That'll hopefully make the miniature look a lot nicer. And then of course at the end... Oh, that's quite scary. I might need to pin this because of that. I'm sorry, Nelly. I'm not trying to hurt you here. So back to the snakebite leather to do all the wood on the Howada. And because we're now in the middle of a giant heat wave, I decided to move outside where I thought it would be a bit cooler. That took half an hour to do the wood. Half an hour. That was the most painstakingly awful thing I've ever done. So hot, man. I'm role-playing Harad here. I know exactly how it feels to be on top of one of these elephants. I've got the base done. It's starting to look a bit nicer. I got some of the wildwood done on these as well. But the issue, I can't, this heat, I can't do it, man. My pasty ginger complexion. I've only been out about, say, an hour, and I'm burnt to fuck. Aye, I'm gonna have to go back inside. I don't know how the people in Harad do this. Bring back the rain, that's what I say. After retreating back inside, I finished the rest of the Howada with the wildwood. I decided after this was done, it was time to glue the Howada down. To do this, I poured a huge amount of Tamiya plastic cement onto the top here, and then tried to stick the Howada on top. I also used a bit of glue in the bit that kept breaking, and I decided that I would go over these again with paint at the end, as the glue had melted some of the paint. However, while I was gluing the Howada on, I managed to break Nelly's tail off again, so I decided it was time to stop being lazy and just pin the tail on. You might feel a small prick here, Nelly. Oh, that feels wrong. I do apologise. So after inserting the rod, I drilled out a hole in the tail, clipped the excess rod off, and stuck it on with plastic glue. So guys, I ended up getting defeated by the sun last night. I had to go to bed. I've definitely been touched inappropriately by the Harad sun. Ow, how red I am. I think we've only got 20 minutes left. I did put loads of tufts on the base, which looks nice, but what I really wish I'd done was use my static grass applicator before I glued Nelly on. I think that would have looked a lot better. I think smaller bases, the little tufts look good. Big base, you want a nice coating, so it's more like a diorama. But with 11 Louis Alarm, there's no way I'd be able to get my static grass applicator in around their legs now that I've already glued it down. So the Howada, I thought I glued that down, or is it just broken it again? Sorry, Nelly. I might do the bone like Maharad, and then I can do lots of red freehand. But I've waffled on long enough. Let's get cracking, shall we? So on to the last bit, the fabric on the Howada. I have decided to go with the bone, so I gave the whole thing a quick covering of skeleton horde. This created a nice base layer, but I think it looks pretty rubbish by itself. I would normally use a layering technique here, however due to the time limit we have, I am just going to get the biggest brush I can and dry brush this whole thing. I just used progressively lighter dry brushes. First dry brush was Ushabti Bone, followed by Screaming Skull, before finally mixing in some white and doing the lightest dry brush I could with this as a final highlight. The overall effect is not as good as if you used a layering technique, but it was fast and it does the job, and I'm hoping that after I cover it in red freehand that it will really distract the eye and stop people seeing the imperfections in the painting. Alright troops, now we have 12 and a half minutes left. We're almost there. Oh, for fuck's sake. And there's also bits from earlier, like see this big white line where the mask was over it, so I need to touch up that. So luckily I picked up Mechanicus Standard Grey from Games Workshop's website, and while I was at it I couldn't help myself, I bought Thranduil himself. Finally starting my Thranduil's Halls army. You know, you need to make up the £20 to get the free delivery, so winning Games Workshop, eh? I quickly covered up the mistakes I made when dry brushing. I just used the contrast paint straight over the dry brush, and it ended up working quite well as I accidentally created a highlight to the layer. I then touched up and fixed any errors I'd made with Mechanicus Standard Grey on Nelly's skin. Alright troops, that's us at 3 hours and we're finished. I went 7 minutes over, sadly. I will just put some normal guys in here that I've already painted, but my plan is with the ones I got with the set is I'm going to do the bases the same as this, the Howada stuff. So I've got guys that will be purposely for the Mumak, and then when they dismount or fall off, they become the guys with the grass. That's my plan. So for 3 hours work, what do you think? I think she's absolutely gorgeous. Aren't you, Nelly? No! That's a horse. What's an elephant noise? I can't do an elephant noise. So I'll leave you with some shots of this, see what you think. Let me know in the comments. Apologies for the lighting here guys, I've only got one LED light working, so I can only light one side of Nelly at the moment. This is Nelly after 3 hours and 7 minutes work. I think she looks pretty decent, but I am going to spend some extra time and do some extra details on her. First up is the war paint. I use corn red as a base layer. I just slap this on where I want the war paint to go. I then dry brush this with Evil Sun Scarlet to bring out the detail of her skin a bit better, before using black to paint on some kind of Haradi designs. I mainly went for the Eye of Sauron and the Haradrim snake. If I thought about it, I would have used Carenberg Crimson Wash over the skin where the war paint was. This would have created a bit more definition and contrast on the war paint. So I quickly painted up the commander in the same manner as my normal guys. I think he's turned out... What is that? Can you hear that? I then wanted to do the red freehand I talked about on the Howada. I painted two kind of eyes on the lower sections to make it look like the elephant is looking out to the side, which would terrify its enemies. I also went full Tolkien and decided to create my own kind of Haradrim writing style, which I used on my raiders when I painted them. All it is just lines and dashes and squiggles with some dots involved. I think it looks like quite an evil writing style. I don't have a fucking clue what it says, but at least it distracts you from the horrendous dry brushing effort on the Howada. All these extra touch-ups took about 30 extra minutes and I think it was well worth the extra time, but I'll leave it for you to decide. Here's a couple of battle shots. Oh, time for bed. Oh. Let's hit the old hay. See you in the morning, big man. Have a good sleep.
Fuck off.
Good night to you too.
Oh, what's the day, man? Oh.
What the fuck is that? Oh! What the fuck is that noise? Oh, I need to go to the doctor.
An elephant never forgets.
Nelly! Oh my god! Oh, Jesus! Fuck! Not my ball! No, my... Oh, right in the... She stopped! Oh, Nelly, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the abuse. Please. Oh, she gone? Oh, thank you, Nelly. No! No! Nelly! No! No! Get off me! No! 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 Thanks for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember to give my bell a good old ring.
Wow. 3, 2, 1, action.
Been another murder.
Right guys, check this out. This is what I need to fucking deal with. Managed to film the whole segment, about 6 minutes, sideways. What an absolute melt. 3 minutes and Nellys oil. 3 minutes. Oh fuck. 3 minutes and Nellys all oiled up. Ugh. Ugh. All I can taste is tomato sauce, man. It's up my nose. I smell like an Italian pastaria. This joke is terrible, man. What am I doing with my life, by the way? So this bit here is quite funny. I've actually got so fat that my wife couldn't pull me out of the shot, so I had to like put a rolling pin under me so she could like roll me out of the shot. Yikes. I don't know how anyone can survive in this heat. Oh, I broke the hose.